Everybody, welcome back. All right, and so today we're going to be talking about some more of this information we got from the Collapse Survival site. Welcome back. And as I said, we are talking about some more of the information you can get on that Collapse Survival site. And I will put all the links in the description box. I believe that there's 3 of them in here, but they all go hand in hand together really well. So, and when you're talking about prepping, this is really good information. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, okay, so there's 4 of them in here. They all are about the same topic, though. And the reason, and I'll tell you why I selected these 4, and I'll put the links in the description box below. We'll do that one last. So first up, basically this is about a very important factor when it does come to prepping, and that is food storage. So basically here we've got food stocking food, and this is like a 5 or 6 page one. And the nice thing about this one is it is concise. So pretty much you got a little bit of information about like food shortages, and then activities reduced if you're storage of foods. It talks about how to store the foods, temperatures, rotations, some stuff that you need to that a lot of people forget about, how much to store. Experts at FDA said that the average adult will consume the following amounts of fresh food per year, and you've got like a breakdown of how much per year an adult will consume. And then back here, then it does have a baseline. This is only 2 pages, so it's very, and this one just breaks it down by like the pounds by how much you're gonna need. Very simple. It's a good place to get started. What I like about it though is the second page. It gives you like different categories, and then the types of food. So like for vegetables, meats and fish, fruits, soups, beans, pastas, baking, drinks, cereals, snacks, spices, condiments. Because all that is extremely important when you are thinking about building a survival pantry. And your survival pantry could be as simple as, okay, we're gonna have enough food for 3 days, or let's say a week, so that we only have to go shopping once a week. Because so many times now our society barely has 3 days worth of food on hand. And the markets, if you go to the store, they say, and I'm not exactly sure how accurate this is, but what a lot of people, if you do like a lot of research online, and I know it's like what people, I can't tell you what people, but I know I've read it on several locations that the average market has like 3 days of food in the stores. So bear that in mind. So if the supply chains break down, as they have in the past, as we saw when COVID hit, the supply chains fell out to crap. Well, when that happens, 3 days, that's what you got. And so after that, you're on your own. So we're gonna go to this one next. This one is by Debbie Kuntz, and this is Family Food Storage and Emergency Preparedness. And you've got like part 1, comments on storage and preparedness. Part 2, storage list, food. And so basically what she does is she's got like applesauce, baking powder, baking soda, basil, and she has a very like precise breakdown. Beef jerky, black pepper, bottled salad dressing, bouillon cubes, canned foods, and then the types of canned foods that to consider storing. Cinnamon, cold cereal. She breaks this down, condiments, um, and so she has a very extensive list of items to consider. And I think this is going to help people a lot because it gives you like, okay, well, you know what? I never thought about sage, right? Because it's good for season for roast soups. Can be used as a cure-all. A strong sage tea is an excellent gargle for tonsillitis or ulcers in the throat or mouth. So, and she breaks down like a little bit of what you need. And then she has storage list, health and grooming. A lot of people, we might forget about that because, when we're thinking about food storage, we don't think about stuff like hydrogen peroxide, Imodium AD, deodorant, calamine lotion, bar soap. And bar soap lasts better and it lasts longer and you get more use out of it. So, and then it's got your miscellaneous first aid stuff, which is quite a long list. Storage list, household and emergency supplies. So she goes into the stuff that, oh man, batteries, blankets, bleach. A lot of this stuff I've talked about on my channel, pocket knife, hunting knife, radio, water purification tablets, stuff like that. And then, I'm not sure if this might be a separate one. No, yeah, this is still hers. Yeah, this is still hers. But basically, she has a 1-year emergency food supply list for one adult. And so this breaks it down like, so for one adult, for a year, you need 70 pounds of rice. You need 70 pounds of whole wheat berries or flour, not the self-rising type. 30 pounds of cornmeal, 36 boxes of spaghetti noodles. And so this kind of breaks it down as to like, okay, because she's got the quantity as well as the calories, what they cost. The cost is going to, we'll talk about the cost of stuff later. And then it's going to tell you how many calories you're getting per, one box of Quaker Oats is 4,500 calories. 1 5-pound box of grits, 7,930 calories, so on and so forth. It breaks it down into how much calories per item, and this is a pretty good list too because but this is very specific. So this is like if you don't like macaroni and cheese, then your macaroni and cheese that's not going to be on the list, so you have to substitute with something. And in fact, we'll get to that in a minute. You got comfort foods, quantities, appetite fatigue, and then over here, substitutions. She talks about substitutions. And you got to think about like calories and brand names and stuff like that. And then storage area, package sizes, cooking from scratch, and then additional food items. If you have money and space, purchase extra white rice, beans, and wheat. Those are kind of like the staples that you can do so much with. So that one is a really good, very, very, it breaks it down really, really well. A good list, but it's not just like specific because she does have that list of like canned vegetables to consider. So, and then the last one, this is by, or no, not the last one, but then we have another here by Flora Bardwell, Extension Food Service Nutrition Specialist. Don't know who she is, but Reed S. Roberts, Professor of Zoology, Extension Entomology. Entomology is studies of insects and arthropods, so pests. And D.K. Salunke, Professor of Plant Science. So, and this one is just food storage in the home. And this one, you can tell this one is a much older publication. You can just tell by the artwork on it, the way it's written up. This is almost written up like a military type. But this one here is this one is very. Would say it adds a lot more of the importance of stuff to it, I guess. The importance of what to stock and stuff like that. And this is a defense civil preparedness. So yeah, so this was probably World War II time frame. I'm not sure when, but this is probably like circa World War II, so like the 1940s. And yeah, you might think, well, that's so old, but a lot of the stuff is still going to be relevant when you're building a pantry. Probably more so than a lot of what you'll find now, because if you think about it, in 1942, they were just coming out of the Great Depression when World War II started. So that information was really relevant because they didn't have the good freezers that we have. They didn't have a lot of the amenities that we have now, 60 years later. So, it's almost 100 years, because, the Great Depression was throughout the 30s. We're almost there. And that's why I say that, in my opinion, one of the real threats that we might have to face is a second Great Depression. It's been almost 100 years. Right now, the inflation is super high, even though it's stabilized. But inflation is still really high. Everything is still very expensive. Just last night, my wife, she went to the store and she had gone across the border into Juarez, and she was saying that everything's really expensive there now too. So prices are rising no matter where you're at. And so, with that being said, I could foresee in the next, and we're 2025. So 5 years down the road, it's not impossible to imagine that we might encounter another Great Depression. So that's why having a good plan in place is super important. Luckily for me, our house is going to be paid off, so that's one less bill that I have to worry about. So that if I am facing a great, a depression, well, I have less bills that I have to worry about. So, and we have a home. Anyway, and this is the last one, and the reason that I like this one, and this one is just a few pages. This is by Cami Roylance, and this one here, this is pretty much obtaining a 3-month supply in 12 weeks. And so this is, oh shoot, there's the food storage for survival. And that's part of the survival press right there. But this last one here is only like 2 pages. But pretty much it breaks it down by week what you need to be purchasing to obtain a 3-month supply. So in a month and a half, you can have a 3-month supply on hand. And this one here. So like, just for instance, like week 1, spaghetti dinner. Now this might change, because if you don't like spaghetti, then this is not gonna, but it gives you an idea even if you don't. So spaghetti dinner serves 4. So 8 ounces spaghetti noodles, 1 spaghetti sauce with meat, boiled noodles, blah 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 blah, right? But and then 2 gallons of water and 2 toothbrushes. So it kind of breaks it down. So that's what you buy in week 1, and then it tells you here, for a 12-week supply, you need 6 pounds of pasta and 12 jars of sauce. And like week 2, tuna noodle casserole, which I don't even know why that's on here. I love it, but tuna noodle casserole, that is something that is a lot of people just do not like. But it is what it is. It'll keep you alive. But here it's got like spiral noodle, 6 pounds, 1 can of tuna, 12 cans. Condensed mushroom soup, 12 cans. 2/3 cup milk, and they're saying use the powdered milk, and so you need 2 quarts worth. And then 1 gallon of water and a 12-pack toilet paper, double rolls. So this one here is very precise, and I think that this is something that a lot of people, if building a pantry is something that is seems like difficult to even think about starting, that one there gives you the guide map on how to start your first 3 months, and then you can build on that. You can really build on that, because then it's like, okay, so now I have 3 months. It took me a month and a half. I have 3 months. Okay, so now we just do it again. But you kind of understand how you're building your menus, and so you can actually add like 3 months of a different menu, and so then in essence, you've got 6 months, but now you have double the meals. So not just the type of meal, but double meals. So instead of having spaghetti all the time or tuna noodle casserole, well, okay, well, you know what? We can do this, and we can add this, and we can look up some recipes and stuff like that. So, and then of course earlier, I mentioned when that one list has like the cost. Well, when you are thinking about costs of items that you're going to purchase, there's a few things that you need to take into account. Now, basically, I went to 5 different stores, so, and we're going to. I'm gonna break this down here real. You know what you need to be looking for when you when you're purchasing your canned goods or dry goods or whatever. Dry goods are a little bit easier, but okay. So we're gonna start on this end over here. So here we have Clover Valley whole kernel corn. Yeah, you probably really haven't heard of Clover Valley too much, but that's actually be good because it keeps the price down. Now I got this at the Dollar General for 75 cents. Okay, now, and we're using corn just as like a baseline, just so you can kind of know what you're looking for. So now if you look at this, all right, so it's 15.25 ounces. And so all these cans here we're going to have the same amount they're going to be identical cans, okay? So 3.5 servings per container, half a cup. So this gives you 3.5 servings. So this should feed 3 people. This can, right, should feed 3 people with a little bit extra. But anyway, there's 80 calories per serving. There's 1 gram of fat, 0 saturated, 0 trans. It's so minuscule. 0 milligrams cholesterol, 300 milligrams of sodium. So there's 300 milligrams. That's 13% of your daily recommended dosage. So when you are thinking about building a pantry for survival, the things you have to think about is nutrition as well as calories you're putting in your body, because it's both very important, especially if you have to start going by the portion size. Because I'm gonna tell you, you can serve and basically it's a half a cup. So it's like it barely is. It's kind of like when you think about it, a half a cup is not that much, and so that's 80 calories of corn. But that gives you 13% of your sodium. So you kind of want to watch that if you're in a survival situation, because that could, too much sodium, you're going to be drinking more water. So because you're putting salt in your body. You do need salt, and that's why this is 13% of what you need. Total carbohydrates 14 grams. 4%, that's 5% of your daily intake of carbohydrates. Your dietary fiber 1 gram, and 7 grams of sugars, which includes 3 grams of added sugars, which is 6% of the amount of sugar you need. And there's 1 gram of protein, which is a drop in the bucket. And then there's no vitamin D, no calcium, no 2% of your iron, 0.3 milligrams, and 2% of your potassium at 100 milligrams. Okay, so this can here, 80 calories, all those, and then that nutrition breakdown costs you 75 cents. All right, so now moving over. Oh, and these all have like the same best buy date, right? So, and that's something that there's so many videos on there already, but just because it says it's best buy doesn't mean it's expired. You just kind of have to do make sure your cans, if you keep your cans in good condition like this, they're going to last you a long, long time. That's all I'm going to say on that. So I got this one here. This is Chestnut Hill. No salt added whole kernel corn. And this cost 85 cents. So we paid 10 cents more for this can than this can. All right, now if we look at the backs of the cans, 3.5 servings per container, half cup. They're both 15.25 ounces, right? Yeah, 15.2 ounces. All right. But this one only has 70 calories per serving. So you're losing calories and you're spending more with this one. And the only difference in these two is this one has a little bit more dietary fiber, but this one has no sugar. So that extra 10 calories comes from your sugar in this one. So, but if you look at it, if you do the math, right, this one you're paying less than 1 penny per calorie. This one you're paying more than 1 penny per calorie. And if you're thinking of the long run, that's what you have to think about. How many calories you get for your money. All right, so next up. Okay, so now we have Libby's. This is like a brand name. I didn't get Del Monte. But so actually no, we're gonna go to this one first. So this is Great Value. This is the Walmart off-brand. and this one was 76 cents. So just a penny more than our Dollar General. But, and we're going to compare it since this one here is the leading contender. So we look at the back. Okay, 15.25 ounces, 3.5 servings per container. Let's see here, total fat 1%, cholesterol 0, sodium only 10% your sodium. So this one saves you on sodium. Only 3 carbohydrates in this, 4% of your dietary fiber. However, there's no iron in this one. There's iron in this one, and you do need iron. But here's the catch. This one is only 60 calories per serving. So you lose 20 calories because you don't have that sodium. So that's why when I say everything counts. So, and we paid 76 cents. So again, we're paying more than we're paying considerably more than a penny per calorie on this one, right? However, also from Walmart, we have our Libby's. Okay, and we're going to compare Walmart to Walmart first. So Walmart to Walmart. Okay, this one's 76 cents. This one is 98 cents. So this one is almost $1. And again, you're paying for the label because 15.25 ounces, 3.5 servings per container. This one has 60 calories. This one only has 70 calories. So you're getting 10 more calories for like an extra 20 cents, 21 cents. Other than that, this one has 320 milligrams of sodium. So this one has a lot of salt in it. That's 14%, which is 10 more percent than our leading runner-up of our Clover Valley. And this one still has more calories. So this one, you're paying a lot more per calorie, right? And that's because you're paying for the brand. Other than that, the ingredients are exactly the same, okay? So now, moving on to our last one, okay? So here we have, this one is from Food King, which you may or may not have a Food King where you're at, but this is just like one of our local markets, okay? So basically, so now this one, and we're going to compare it to our Clover Valley. Okay, now this one costs 80 cents. 80 cents. All right. Now, as always, 15.25 ounces, 3.5 servings per container. Calories, 80. So these have the same amount of calories. These two are essentially, the only difference is this one still has iron, this one does not. Other than that, these are identical products. Identical. Down to the calories. However, this one is 5 cents cheaper. So you're paying less than a penny per calorie. Here you're paying 1 penny per calorie. But that's still not bad because it's still 80 calories and it's still 18 cents cheaper than your Libby's. You're getting, a lot more calories than either Family Dollar or what was the other one? Walmart. So, however, and this is why it is super, super important to pay attention to your newspapers. Download the app for your like your markets and stuff, because here we have our Food King Gold Sweet Whole Kernel Corn. Here we have our Food King Gold Sweet Whole Kernel Corn. However, this one, and these are identical cans, so there's no difference there. But this one was on sale for 54 cents, so we paid 59 cents. So this one is considerably cheaper than this for the exact same thing. So that's why it's so important to look for your sales too, and because if you think about it, this one is 59 cents and 75 cents. So you're saving 15 cents. But if you think about it, but here's the thing, right? If you have to store up 60 cans of this, or whatever they say you need here. Let's see here. Let's see, canned vegetables. Let's see what they say for canned vegetables. Let's go to one of our lists here. 180 cans of vegetables. So, if you have 180 cans of vegetables, and this one is saving you, let's see here, 1 penny would be 60, 15, 60. This one is saving you 16 cents. So, every 10 cans, you're saving $1.60. You put that into 180 cans, every 10 cans, 10, 20, 30, 40, you'll save. So by the time you get to your 180 cans, this person has saved considerably amount more money than this person, and they're getting probably more calories. Other than that, they're all the same. So don't be, when you're building a pantry, like if it was like, if there's no sale going on, this one here's the one I'm going with, Clover Valley, 75 cents. It's still less than a penny a calorie, but if it's on sale, I'm going with this one at Food King, and I will stock up on this one. Now, my last item to add to all of this before we wrap this video up is, if you don't eat corn, don't buy corn. You need to buy food that you're going to eat, because ideally, after you get your pantry set up, so and I mean, a year, 6 months, a year, you know, even if you go with 3 months, right? Once you get your pantry set up, so whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever time frame you decide on, you start rotating your food, because that way, if you do enter depression and you have to stretch your food out, at least you have the freshest food. If you build your pantry now, and in 5 years is when it hits, well, your food's already been sitting around for 5 years. Now, it's probably perfectly good, right? Your food will be perfectly good, you know. It might not taste quite the same. It might be a little bit, you know, mushy or something, but you'll still get your calories and everything. Your dried foods will be fine, but it's 5 years older. Now, if you build your year pantry, but now you're rotating through it, well, then by the time you get to it, you know, your food is only a year old. And so you have a much longer shelf life to make your rationings out. You know, because on a normal occasion, you know, you're not eating one serving of corn. You know, a person's eating like 2 or 3 servings of corn. When you put your corn on your plate, nobody in America follows the serving sizes. I promise you, nobody. You know, we're an obese country as is. But, you know, and if we actually started following serving sizes, we would be a lot healthier. That's just my opinion. Not giving any nutritional guidance here. But we overeat. I overeat. We all overeat, and that's just the way it is. And we eat stuff we don't need to. So if it comes down to it, and you have to eat your food, make sure you're stocking food you're going to eat. Right? If you don't like Spam, don't buy Spam. I'm not a huge fan of Spam. I'll have a little bit of it because, you know, I can put it in powdered eggs to make them taste better. But generally speaking, I'm not a fan of Spam. It's okay every once in a while. So I'm not going to stock up. I'm not going to stock up 200 cans of Spam, because I'm going to get tired. It's like, no more Spam. You know, I like beef ravioli. If you like beef ravioli, stock up on beef ravioli. I know a lot of people say don't buy those ones. They're not going to last. They're fine. I've eaten beef ravioli that's been in my cabinet for like 5 years. How it lasted that long? It was behind like garbanzo beans or something that I never touched. So it was fine. You know, the pasta was a little bit soggier than normal, but it was still perfectly fine, and it tasted the same. And I'm still here kicking. So, but you have to, wherever your pantry is, you have to make sure you store the food properly. And a lot of these manuals here talk about storing your food properly. So, but anyway, that's it. That's it for this video. Hope you stuck around this long. If you have, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am going to start doing more of these types of videos too, where is my clicker? There it is. Where we're talking about, you know, this information you can get from Collapse Survival site. I'll put the links to these in the description box. Again, this is kind of like one of those basic things, and really, I urge everybody, right? I urge everybody, even if you just you know, do it for a week at a time, you know. But you know, you could lose electricity for 4 days. At least you have food. You know, it's like, you know, the stores could be shut down, you know, and you know, at least if you have a week's worth of food, you have that little bit of a bubble, you know. And I think that one of the either the American Red Cross or the CDC or FEMA or one of those organizations recommends everybody has 72 hours worth of food on hand. So, and me personally, I would say stretch it out longer than that. But if everybody were to just do the 3 days, because not everybody does that. But if everybody would do just the 3 days, we'd be in a lot better shape. And even more if everybody did like a week or a month, And then if you think about it, you're only going shopping once a month, and if you plan it right, you can get it when the sales are on, and then you can make your money go further. So, and it all plays a part into building an effective pantry. So, all right, that's it. Hope you liked the channel. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Share this video out. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Hey, until next time, keep prepping.